Thank you, Honorable Chairs. First of all, I want to take this opportunity memorandum on legal and policy reforms on issues concerning our country.
Presentation by Kenya.
We will make an oral presentation, and then we will.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And also the invitation was very specific that we are coming to make an oral presentation. That was captured in your invitation letter. So, Honorable Chairs, you'll allow me to introduce my team. This is the Kenya Kwanza team. I am the Secretary General of the ruling party, the UDA party. I'm also accompanied here with the Secretary General of the Amani National Congress, Honorable Omboko Milemba. I'm also accompanied by the Honorable Chikati, who is the Secretary General of the FIFA, and Honorable Tabitha Mtinda. I'm also accompanied by Senator Sigei. Time limits. I'm sure you you appreciate who we are. Thank you. Well, the thematic areas that you have suggested. One, we will have a presentation by at least each one of us of outstanding constitutional matters. We will be led by Ford Kenya, and on the issue of entrenching funds in the Constitution will be led by the good Honorable SG of Ford Kenya, and on the issue of implementation of the two-third gender rule, we will have a presentation from Senator Mtinda. I will lead you on the establishment and entrenchment of state office, and that's how we make.
SG, I propose you just go straight to it, so that you don't buy time making that.
Okay.
Just let those who are supposed to do whatever speak.
Okay, well-guided chair. So we will start by having a presentation by Honorable Sigei on that specific thematic area.
Thank you, SG. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and Honorable Chair as well, and members of the IEBC, that is the Commission. And our view is with regards to the selection panel in place with regards to the selection panel to the IEBC, which law in order for it to ensure that opening up the Commission for purposes of making sure that it does the mandate provided for in law. And this is also one of the reasons why we are saying representative constituencies and wards have had no representation, which is like the law is in place, should be allowed to proceed, and this committee should position immediately. I will come back in a short while to represent the second bit of it, but alas, on the boundaries, the limitation, which is also another link of this position of Kenya Kwanza.
Thank you, Chair. On boundaries, the limitation. The boundary delimitation exercise is due to be done latest by March required by the Constitution is likely to stall due to lack of properly, if it's not constituted. Honorable Chair, we stand for the fact that this delimitation be done by the IBC because as per Article 29 of the Constitution, this boundary delimitation should be done after every between 8 to 12 years. And as we stand now, we are doing the last year, which is the 12th year. And therefore, we strongly propose that this should be done so that we avoid the constitutional. Being very brief, that we further propose that Parliament and the Executive should fast track so that after the question of how to constitute, my brother here, is answered, it begins its work immediately to avoid groups appeared before yourselves and were talking about creation of of counties. So we strongly propose that this should actually be executed. Honorable Chair, we propose be employed by the Commission during the boundary review, and the limitation should be as already provided for in the Constitution under Article 89. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Allow me to move directly to the next issue. And the next issue is to do with the outstanding constitutional matters. I would want to begin by sharing with the many Kenyans who have suffered in many ways a courtesy of the cost of living, and really stand with them having been bred from a village point of a background. Honorable Chair, we understand the cost of living as an economic concept that refers to the general price level for goods and services that the average consumer will purchase for their activities of daily living. And we appreciate that these prices indeed are high, but we also appreciate that you know very well, Honorable Chair, that as a result of the international happenings that are not limited to the global inflation, to the high cost of living worldwide, the Ukraine war, and even the COVID pandemic, and further coupled with the local challenges that are not limited but include the prolonged drought we had in the last year, which was very, very prolonged. We saw the death of so many livestock, and further the issue of budget deficits, which we have had in Parliament, and further the borrowing, which I also had been talked about here a few minutes ago, generally has led us to where we are. Honorable Chair, I want to submit that Kwanzaa, we look at this from a constitutional point of view, which is actually Article 43, and it clearly indicates that it is actually a right, that every person has a right, to the highest sustainable health, includes the right to health care services, etc., etc. I want to submit, Honorable Chair, that as the Kenya Kwanzaa government on the food security, the interventions undertaken by the government to actually increase on input subsidies in the sector of agriculture, by, for instance, lowering the cost of fertilizer and other inputs, and also making sure the quality of these inputs to our farmers are of, which was originally 7,500 to now 2,500, should greatly go in putting to actually reduce the cost of living and actually reduce the cost of the essential food services. And I'm happy yesterday when I was watching the TV now, I see the farmers complaining about stores and not lack of the maize itself. And they're actually saying that we need to move in as government quickly to actually provide stores for these foodstuffs and actually avoid post-harvest wastage. On the issue of housing, Honorable Chair, I want to undertake that as Kenya Kwanzaa, we have boldly moved to deal with the issue of housing, and that's why we had the acrimonious finance bill, as you all know, which dealt with the housing situation. And we are targeting that we should be able to increase the housing situation in this country, and therefore reduce the mortgages to about 10,000, and also make sure that the number of mortgages rise from 30,000 to 100 to 1 million every year. And by doing this, we hope that the issue of housing is going to be taken care of. Let me also move to the issue of health, Honorable Chair, that Kenya Kwanzaa is a government in place has moved to make certain laws which will actually make sure that we are able to provide the universal health care. 2 weeks ago, you remember, some of you were with me in Parliament when we did pass the two bills. That was the digital health care bill, and also did pass the social health care bill, and there are two more bills which are in the Senate which are crossing over to the to Parliament, so that we may deal with this. And I'm happy that the Constitution pronounces itself on the issue of emergency health care. And I'm happy in one of the bills, that's the social health care bill, we did create an emergency fund for those who are actually will be affected by emergency diseases. And that will go a long way to help secure the health sector so that everybody is able to have universal health care. And furthermore, we as Kenya Kwanza are actually mainstreaming the what you used to call the CHVs, but now called the promoters, the health promoters on the ground, so that we can actually deal with the healthcare from the basis of the ground, rising up to the top. In the digital healthcare bill, you will understand that this will enable doctors to be shared across the country. And if we have a test that has been done in Nairobi Hospital, we shall not need a patient to go all the way in other places, and that will reduce the cost of healthcare. Honorable Chair, I want to further submit that on 20th October, Mashujaa Day, the government will launch a comprehensive healthcare model that will solve the existing stalemate in the sector. For the sake of time, let me not mention everything, because we shall be giving a written memorandum.
That's a good way forward.
Yeah. Honorable Chair, on the issue of audit of the 2022 presidential election, I would wish to pronounce ourselves on that matter, and in the position of Kenya Kwanza, that we believe that that is watered down the bridge. We are a country that upholds the rule of law, and we are all aware that the judiciary had already pronounced itself on that matter. The highest level of the judiciary, that is the Supreme Court, had already pronounced itself on the matter of the 2022 presidential election. I would like to urge Kenyans that let us all be law-abiding citizens and allow the law to prevail. That is our position as Kenya Kwanza. So I will want to invite Honorable Mutinda to present the issue on two-thirds gender rule.
Very good.
Thank you, Honorable Chairs. And I want to actually start by saying that it's very regrettable to note that the Constitution, as we speak, clearly articulates for the framework of the two-thirds gender rule. But as Parliament sits now, more specific at National Assembly, we've not been able to achieve the two-thirds gender rule. As a coalition, Kenya Kwanza, led by our party leader, none other than Dr. William Ruto, we want to state that we are committed and as a party in terms of championing and promoting the realization of women inclusion and effective participation in every sphere of national endeavors. We have recently also, as a coalition, amended our structure in terms of ensuring that we include party leadership cadres that ensure we meet the two-thirds gender rule in our political different coalitions. Further to this, Honorable Chair, you note that currently in the National Assembly, we on the one-third we have 97. Currently have 47 women reps, hence we have less 50, but since we have 26 women elected on single constituencies, we still have a short of 24 women who are supposed to be in Parliament. So as a coalition, we want to state that our proposal to support in these numbers getting to the two-thirds agenda that we all focus on. I want to state that county assemblies have been able to achieve this through gender top-up. Senate, equally where I sit, we've been able to achieve this. Finally, as a coalition, we also not forgetting our youth and people with disabilities to have different opportunities and different areas that they can be able to serve, so that we increase the number of women, we increase the number of our youth, and we also increase the number of our PWZ. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And the one presenting next, please note you have 5 more minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. We will submit to you our written. I will simply summarize what we have on fidelity to political parties, coalitions, and the law on multi-party democracy. Our proposal is that we seek to strengthen individual parties as key pillars for strong coalitions in Kenya. Secondly, that multipartyism is a critical tool to the growth of democracy in Kenya. And thirdly, that the choice of belonging to any political party is enshrined in the Constitution, must be respected, and it must be strengthened. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much. Any other presentation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we have got something to do.
Senator Sigei.
Thank you. I'll try to push myself, but you will allow me referred to as cannibalization of the political parties or interference of political parties. The position that we are taking is that there is a role of political parties. It has indeed provided for situations where members are of their constitution at the party level. The Constitution of Kenya, at the same time, we are all aware, mandates members under 238 the freedom to politics and democracy. However, this was an issue that we have had to respond to, and we are saying that in terms of what we can recommend as a position, since we have the law, what is it then that we can do to make sure that this law is supporting the management of these political parties? And we have proposed that education is going to be one of the key issues in terms of ensuring that proactive steps are taken for members to understand, for political parties also to understand how to manage their members, so that we avoid accusations of interference with the management of political parties. Secondly, enhance the strengthening of internal party dispute resolution mechanism and make sure implemented and party organs are also made to operationalize, so that if there is an issue, we can deal with it within the IDRM. Thirdly, political dialogue and democratic space is key. If we have this continuous, there will be no accusation of one party having interfered with another party's political structure. And lastly, legal reforms, where we are saying that policymakers should be able to consider reviewing and amending the existing laws where we feel there is a lacuna. And in this case, if there is a lacuna in terms of the Political Parties Act, where we are saying at what point do we deem a member to have maybe promoted the position of another political party, it should be clear so that members are allowed to exercise their democratic right and space any other political party. That is our position as Kenya Kwanza, and we are saying this commission can push it.
2 more minutes, Chair. And entrenchment of state offices. Honorable Chair, is our position that we draw wisdom from the memorandum to Parliament. That is the position of Kenya Kwanza. We support the establishment and the entrenchment of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and the Senate Oversight Fund. However, Chair, we would like to make a further submission on the same. Establish the position of the member of county assembly. Various roles in order for the county to effectively carry out the above functions as enshrined in the county government is an incubation stage for nurturing and mentoring future leaders who will scale up. This fund will be very instrumental in ensuring this is achieved. We further submit that we have a ward equalization fund, so that within the county setup, we again have an equalization fund to ensure that marginalized communities are are further suggesting, as Kenya Kwanza, to have the county oversight fund, the same way a senator has been proposed to have oversight the governors to play the oversight role. We are proposing, let us build capacity for members of county assemblies. We've seen members of county assemblies being bought left, right, and center because they do not have a fund. That will make them autonomous. On the issue of entrenchment of the two officers, the leader of opposition and the office of the prime cabinet secretary, and especially as Kenya Kwanza, we want to affirm that we support the entrenchment of the leader of opposition. It is our considered view that Parliament should enact the legislation to establish the office of the leader of opposition. This is an important office in promoting inclusivity. We have repeatedly witnessed violence after every electoral cycle due to the perceived winner-takes-it-all scenario. Creation of this position would be a means to alleviate the perennial problems, strengthening oversight and deepening democracy. Honorable Chair, we are conscious of the Bill of Rights as enshrined in the Constitution. We propose a legislation to regulate the rights to demonstration and picketing enshrined in Article 37. Lastly, the legislation should specifically address and provide mechanism to bar political leaders who lead violent demonstrations from vying from any further elective position. Further, the legislation should mandate the organizers of the demonstration to gazette the venue, time, and reason for picketing. The legislation should provide measures that will ensure the leaders and organizers of violent demonstrations, which may occasion destruction of property and loss of life, to be held liable. These will encourage sanity and order in our political class. That is our submission as Kenya Kwanza.
Thank you, SG. I think you're done, and thank you very much. I only want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
In the case of the office of the official of the leader of opposition, should that pass or in the National Assembly?
For
or outside?
No, just note down. Just note down. Question. Note down. And I've got a follow-up question. Say for about 2 or so words, I'm getting worried because memorandum that you alluded to, that was sent to Parliament. Memorandum here. What is it? Sorry.
No, that's yours.
No, let's be orderly. Okay, so it's not this one. Okay.
Sorry, Chair. You know, our staff was circulated a memo. It bears your name.
I started by saying we do not have a memorandum. We will do oral submissions.
But what is it?
Yeah, and this was occasioned by the contents of your letter. You told us to come and make oral.
This.
You know,
Okay.
We like this as a strange document. Thank you. Now, I was ask you, why are you not as emphatic on the position of the that even this document which I have now refused to, I will not now refer to. You seem not to be emphasizing the creation of that office, contrary to the result of the fears. No, relax. Of the fears that from some quarters that on the power and influence of the office of the deputy president and dialogue outbursts out there. Finally, what is your take on the issue taxes which were brought about by the Finance Act? And very finally, Umoko Milemba, if I heard you right, I think it's the SG of Ford Kenya. That you support, that you support.
Chair, I'm the SGO.
Okay, fine. I was referring to my friend, the SGO for the yes. That you support the strengthening of political parties. Okay? I suppose within and without the coalitions. Yes. What is your take on the clamor for collapsing to form bigger entities? Yeah.
Honorable Chair, on the issue of the leader of opposition, we propose the issue of being emphatic on the entrenchment of the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. I think first it was because of time. Second is a matter of semantics. We started by saying that we draw our wisdom from the contents encapsulated in the memorandum from the President to the National Assembly. So whatever the contents are encapsulated in that memorandum, we share the same wisdom.
I'm advised that memorandum doesn't have the proposal to entrench the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Because it's not there.
Yeah.
It's not there.
Yeah. Proceed.
Which memorandum? Honorable Chair.
The one that was sent to the President to the National Assembly.
Or whichever way,
yeah.
We as Secretary General has said, we strongly support the entrenchment of the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary into the Constitution, and we had an array of notes on this. But of course, due to time, we may have not done so much, but we stand for it, and this will help in to create a person, a supervision, which is a pivotal role within the Cabinet Secretary and the Cabinet.
Thank you so much. Our position on the parties is that we propose the strengthening of individual parties as
okay.
Anything outside that proposal is a clamor which I don't understand. So we thank you so much.
It might help SG to make a comment on that. The political party position. Yes, Senator Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you to the presentation from Kenya Kwanza. Made to us on the particular topic of audit of the 2022 presidential election. I heard you say that the position of Kenya Kwanza is that this matter is closed and done with, in the sense that it was concluded at the Supreme Court. However, there are people who have come before us, and in their presentation, they have said that is a political view in response to a political question raised by Azimio. Because our understanding, which I want to believe is the same matter that you're responding to, is that they are contesting the election result. However, many people, including the church, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to NCCK present, and so many people that have come before us, have told us, have a broader view of this issue. Look at it as an audit of our electoral process. It as an audit of our electoral process, which results are just part and parcel of. That there is a bigger perspective through which you can have a view to making our electoral processes better. What are the issues that have arisen? Matters of contestation. If that was made to be your understanding, an audit will be, will you still maintain the same view that that matter is concluded, or you will this committee to have a broader view of this matter? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. We still have comments. Chair, I think I want to go next. Yes. Thank you, Chair. What is your take on this errand elected officers or members of either county on them? And secondly, Madam Senator,
You gave us almost a blanket statement about the government or the parliament having not conformed to implementing. Have any specific measures and ways which we can use to get to this two-third gender rule? Like other parties have been coming here, the public service was here with their team. They gave us suggestions. Gidu was here. Also mentioned even about scrubbing the women rep seat and maybe creating something else. Do you have anything specific that you can recommend to this committee? Thank you.
Mine, Chair, is just a comment.
Yes.
They might choose to answer it in a different way, but because also this committee is conscious as me, I think the fact that we have contributed, it's testimony that what you call outbursts are just opinions, and that we continue to support this process fully, including its outcomes.
Thank you.
That were asked in 9 minutes. we will abide, Chair. Chair, I will start on the issue of whether we agree that we should audit the process for the elections. Our position is that given to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and therefore country, we can audit the process. We look into areas which we can improve as a country, because elections are supposed to be transparent and in a manner that people can be participating in the formulation of the rules of the election. Second, on the issue that you raised about strengthening of political parties, I want to strongly agree with the Secretary General of the Ford Kenya that let us strengthen political parties, because we fought so much in this country, we shed blood to achieve the multi-party democracy, and therefore our position is that let us strengthen political parties. But the big question is, how do you strengthen your political party? You strengthen by recruiting members. So if in an instance you can recruit members from a particular political party to a point whereby that political party is no longer viable, you can decide to take up the entire membership of a political party and bring to your... So strengthening, you must strengthen your political party by recruiting members. And that is our position, that let us strengthen, let us compete, and that is multi-democracy that we fought for. On the issue of errant MPs going against their party positions, I think we already have a legislative framework on that. The Political Parties Act is very clear. It's just a matter of enactment. So, Honorable Wambilianga, enforcement. Enforcement.
So enacted.
Enforcement. So it's just a matter of enforcement. So that has already been provided for in the Political Parties Act and other related legislation.
Kindly conclude, SG.
1 minute before he concludes, Chair.
Yes.
On the issue of political parties, we as a coalition are very much aware about where we came from in terms of the one-party state. Like we said, and let me further indicate that we also, this is what I wanted to bring out, of collisions that can actually purpose to drive a certain area. And that's the experience even we had in America. What you now call the strong parties America is a whole history of ideologies of small conglomerations that came together to form what they are today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to know from you, this is a national sitting on different divides. Why can't you mix? Thank you.
Food for thought.
Thank you, Chair. I think we will be ungrateful if we left this sitting without congratulating the committee. You've made Kenya proud, because in the history of Kenya, this is the first divide sitting together, having a dialogue. And I think this is the Kenya we want to see. The other Kenya where we came from, we don't want to go back We want to see a Kenya which is united. And I suggest, Honorable Chair, that in the forthcoming Mashujaa Day, you guys should be celebrated. We should give you accolades for bringing Kenya together. Now we have a peaceful country, and we want to encourage that we continue that. Thank you.
We appreciate. Thank you. Thank you, Kenya Kwanza. We appreciate you and your presentation. Asante. The next...
Federation of Kenya Employers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Federation, and then next after Federation of Kenya Employers is the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights.
A misconception of a divided Kenya Kwanza. You have seen today, we have made a presentation of a unified front. We have the Ford Kenya Secretary General here, we have the ANC Secretary General here, and I'm here to represent UDA party. And therefore I want to assure all our supporters to cast their fears away that Kenya Kwanza is as intact as before. And therefore we do not want to entertain any rumor mongering that we are divided as a coalition. We respect each other and we agree on every issue that we present in public. Second, on the issue that we've presented here today, the gist of the matter is first that on the issue of the 2022 elections, we are not in support of any audit. We are supporting the enactment of the Constitution, which provides for, if you think that the 2022 general elections were not fair enough, the provisions of the Constitution are very clear that you have an opportunity. That was already done, and we are saying that that is water down the bridge. That is to discuss and audit the electoral process of Kenya, because we need to be as fair as possible in the subsequent in support of the entrenchment and establishment of the two offices. First, the Prime Cabinet Secretary's office, we are supporting that. And second, we are supporting the establishment of the office of the Leader of Opposition. We'll ensure that we do away with the winner takes it all mentality after an election. We want our country to feel more inclusive moving forward. Honorable Chikati to say something, and then Mwalimu Milemba will conclude.
Thank you so much. We've presented a common between the Ford Kenya, UDA and ANC as the three teams in the alliance, and we've presented that. One of the things that we've touched on is about enhancing political competition within our parties, strengthening those political pillars towards strengthening a strong coalition. That we've said, and we have also talked about really respecting individuals' right to choose political parties of their choice as enshrined in the law. And so that has been our presentation. Our proposal has been also entrenching the CDF funds within the Constitution to avert political battles in courts and disruptions by people who may not want the success of the CDF and the NGF funds within the Constitution, as well as the Senate funds. And that has been our proposal.
Yeah, and also maybe to add on that, the Ward Development Fund.
Yes.
So you can speak in Swahili.
Yes. Sawa sawa, tachapa Kiswahili.
Yes.
Ingawa mimi si Mswahili sana, mnanijua. Kwa hivyo hii ndio ilikuwa proposal za Kenya Kwanza, na tumeguzia masuala kadhaa, lakini tutataja mawili tu. Kwanza tumeweza kupropose kwamba tutengeneze ile inaitwa Ward Fund for our MCAs. Sababu MCAs wetu ni kama tu wajumbe. Na wajumbe wanapokuwa na CDF, hawa MCAs pia wapewe Ward Fund ambao itawezesha kuweza kufanya kazi yao na kuwafikia wale wananchi ambao waliwachagua kwa urahisi. Tumepropose further kwamba pia waweze kupewa ile oversight fund. Kwa hivyo tunataka oversight fund ya senators, oversight fund ya wajumbe na pia oversight fund ya wale MCAs katika ward zao, ili pia waweze ku-oversight vikweli na kwa utaratibu sana wale magovernors, sababu tunaona saa hizi mambo mingi ya corruption iko pale kwenye county. Kwa hivyo wawezeshwe kupewa nguvu ya kutosha ili waweze ku-oversight wale governors, ili county government zetu ziweze kufanya kazi kwa uzuri. Jambo la pili, na wacha nirudie kwa Kiswahili, ni kwamba mambo ya election ya 2022 ile tumesema ilikwisha. Ukiamsha ni kama kupiga yule punda tayari ashakufa. Punda alikufa tayari, wewe unampiga. Kwa hivyo yale tumesema tusirudie, lakini kawaida huwa ni kazi ya IBC kuangalia vile walifanya mwaka uliopita, ili waweze kujifunza vile watafanya ile vizuri hapo mbeleni. Hiyo tumesema ni sawa, ili waweze kujua ni kwamba wataweza kuimprove namna gani. Tumeguzia swala pia la ile mipaka ambao ulisikia watu wakisema tunataka constituencies, tunataka zingine zitolewe, wengine wanataka counties. Tumesema hii ni mwaka ya mwisho ambayo natakana ile IBC iweze kufanya delimitation of boundaries. Na tumebaki na miezi michache kabisa. Kikatiba inatakana hii ifanyike kati ya mwaka wa 8 na mwaka wa 12. Saa hizi tuko katika mwaka wa 12. Kumbuka pia inatakana ifanywe miezi 12 kabla ya uchaguzi. Kwa hivyo tumesema kwamba hii iweze kufanywa, na tumeambia bunge pamoja na executive waweze kutoa pesa wape IBC na itengenezwe mapema, ili tuweze kufanya boundary delimitation, ili Wakenya waweze kupata hiyo, na pia tusikuwe na ile constitutional crisis ambayo tunaweza kuwa nayo. Kwa hivyo au ni baadhi ya yale maneno tumesema. Asante sana.
Yes.
As a coalition, we've been able to present on the 2-that gender rule, and what we feel is that currently, as we speak, in Parliament, we are not legally constituted as required as far matters to that gender rule is concerned. But I'm happy to state that the President, His Excellency, is really championing and ensuring that women have more numbers, both at an executive level and also at the Parliament level. We have a bill that is currently in Senate on the 2-that gender rule. We also have another committee that has been constituted by Her Excellency Aisha Juma, the Cabinet Secretary, Matters Gender, including other stakeholders. And I'm happy because they've also done their presentations to this committee, NDC, and we believe that in putting minds together, all these discussions will be able to ensure that as women we get more positions in this particular government. At the same time, currently as we speak, we are short of 24 women, and we are saying as a coalition this is a matter that can be looked in such that we can be able to fill the short-term gap as we speak, but long-term then we can be able to look at how as coalitions we can be able to ensure that we have more women in these positions. Also, as a coalition, we are not forgetting the issues of the youth and also the issues of people with disability, because they play a very key important role in our society, in our country. So as a coalition, we are also happy that we were able to accept on table that our colleagues from the opposition side, we have a sitting for the betterment of this country. We need not to forget that we are all Kenyans, and that is why as a coalition, the one that is in power, that is ruling, we are very open. They've been able to say, our opposition colleagues, that we chest them. We do not. We've been able to actually pronounce and welcome the office of the opposition and say that let them be able to be supported and do their role, because Kenyans need to know that Kenya Kwanza is a government of total inclusivity, no matter which party you belong to, and all developments will be given to all the 47 counties. That is the focus of us as our coalition, led by the party leader, none other than Dr. William, to ensure that all Kenyans get equal development. Thank you so much.
Thank you.